right, everybody. So here we are on August 2nd. It's a weekend. So we got a little more than half the year over, right? Half the year plus a month. So a solid half the year is over. And if you've not watched my year so far, what I would encourage you to do before you watch this video is to watch my trade plan videos. There's two of them, trade plan 1 and 2. This one's going to be trade plan video 3. So watch trade plan 1 and 2. And then kind of like skip through the year because there's a story being told here. So if you can kind of just go back, skip through the videos, and if nothing else, go to the end of the videos where I just do a recap on the day, show you the log and all that stuff. I think it's about a 4-minute segment, and do that like 1 or 2 videos a week, and all the way up to this point. So, you know, maybe 8 minutes a day. In a couple weeks, you're caught up to this point. So I would strongly recommend that you do that before watching this. But if you want to just watch this, watch it. And if you're any of my students are watching this right now, definitely don't skip around in this video. You need to see this entire video. So before we get started, though, I just want to say trading is extremely risky, and you know, past performance doesn't tell you anything about future performance. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed in any way. I'm not giving you financial advice. I am simply telling you what it is that I do, and you can do whatever you want with that information. I'm just telling you what I do. If it sounds like I'm telling you what to do, then I'm just speaking out loud, and I'm not telling you what to do at all with your money or anything. So just simply telling what I'm doing. You know, my results are not typical. A lot of traders can jump into successful strategies and fail. A lot of traders will blow up their accounts many times over, and some will never succeed at trading. And you could be one of those. So yeah, trading is super risky. I highly recommend you don't trade with any kind of money that you need. And definitely start in a sim before you ever go to real money. Be successful in the sim for a long time, you know, at least 3 months, if not a year. Like, you know, put a plan together, trade it in the sim. And if you're successful in that plan, then you can evaluate whether or not you want to trade with real money. But at least prove to yourself you can be successful in a sim. All right, so let's get into it. So this year, let me jump over to the log here actually real quick. Let's go over to the log. So this year, so far, we've been trading a bunch of different tickers. QCOM, JD a little bit. We just recently started showing you JD, but QCOM, NUG, CVS, APPS, so forth, right? So the same tickers over and over and over again. My strategy doesn't find new tickers every day. We vet our tickers and we just trade them, and that's it. So what I teach my students over at the site is you want your tickers to be 80% successful over a 90-day period without the use of speed bumps. Speed bumps, if that works for those tickers, you got to check it. That's just a bonus to help you recover your day so you have less losing days. But it has to work, and your ticker has to do 80% or better without speed bumps for it to be, you know, if you're copying what I'm doing. So then the other thing that I teach you over at my site is to track your strategy, track your tickers. So we have this this piece in the log, and everybody who owns one of my algorithms gets this log with it. Or if you just want to use my concepts and my education for your own strategies, this log is available for purchase over at the link below. So check it out. But then you have your strategy tracker, right? And it's really important to use these strategy trackers. You know, when I get to the bottom, then I just kind of start over the top, and then I have like a rolling period here. That kind of gives me an idea of what's going on success-wise and what's happening with the strategies and all that stuff. So if you use these, then you can get an idea of what's going on with your success on your ticker and your strategy, so you can see if it's starting to wane. It's really hard because the market likes to do a slow bleed on, you know, decent strategies, where you're a pretty good trader, you got a pretty good strategy, you're cruising along, but you're slowly bleeding to death. And then you don't even realize it until it's like, what happened? Like you just wake up one day and you're like, what happened? Like my whole year went away and I didn't make any money, but I had a winning strategy. Well, if you're using this, you could start to see deterioration, failure, weak points, all that stuff. All right, so if you don't want to use this piece, over on the back test blocks, just by putting in win losses by the day, you can keep a tally what's going on. Do I have an 80% win rate, 60? Like what's happening with this thing? Is it 94%? Am I declining? You know, you can kind of get an idea. There's a lot of tools out there. You can make your own tools, but you want to track what's happening so that you can see if there's a decline in what you're doing, so then you can reevaluate if necessary. So this year, what you saw me trading, there's a video that I have. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely go and check it out. 60 to 70% win rate. And the biggest thing for this year is I'm trying to tell the story of a trader who's becoming successful and some of the pitfalls that you deal with as a trader who's becoming successful. Not new traders who are failing and blowing up accounts and learning and, still trying to get control of their emotions and learn about themselves and all that. That wasn't the goal for this year. The goal for this year was traders who are already got control, have a pretty good strategy, and are becoming successful. So what a lot of traders do when they're becoming successful is they stop using a strategy tracker because they feel like they're good. They got it. They got it under control. New traders might use this constantly. They might look at it 4 times a day. But sometimes traders are becoming successful, feel like they got it, like they're good. They don't need it. So they stop using it, which is what I did, right? And then the next thing is the traders are becoming successful, feel like they got it. They start to think, if I trade with more tickers and I take more trades every day and I do all this stuff and I increase my frequency of trading and everything, that I can make more money, which could be true, but maybe it's not, especially if you're a new trader that's becoming successful. There's a difference between someone who's becoming successful and a pro trader who's been doing it for like 20 years, who's, is on robot mode and they're literally trade like a computer every day and they're just doing their thing. Big difference. So what I've done here this year is I've played that I'm going to trade these tickers. I'm going to trade more tickers. My family account only trade 1 or 2 tickers. But here I traded 4 to 5. And 4 to 5 because that's all I could really afford to trade with the idea of starting with a $27,000 account. So I started with 4 to 5 tickers. And some traders are like, I need to have 30 tickers, 20 tickers, 10, 100 tickers, whatever it is. But there's a video in my school that talks about that where we go over what happens when you have too many tickers. Like you end up getting lucky, right? Because now you're like, you can afford these, you can afford these 2, but then you couldn't afford these. So which one did you choose? Did you choose to trade these and not these 2? So then you traded all losers and you have no winners that day, right? Because you couldn't afford them because you had too many tickers. And, why is your strategy successful? Why is your ticker successful? Is it because you trade every opportunity or every Monday? Like, what is it? So all that stuff has to be worked out. Is it because you trade between 9:30 and 12? So my trade plan video, the first ones, we go over all those details, right? So all that stuff matters. But a lot of times we get comfortable, we get confident, so we add a whole bunch of tickers to our list and we try to start trading all of them. So what's the downside for a trader becoming successful doing that? Well, for me, it's that if I trade APPS this morning and I have a loser on it, then QCOM sets up. Emotionally, I might try to get back the money I lost in APPS with QCOM. But then if QCOM is losers, now when the next, trade sets up, APPS sets up again, or JD sets up, now I might be frustrated that I've been having such a bad day that I go bigger with JD, I break a lot of rules, all that stuff. So you see how more tickers allow me to start to lose more emotional control within the day. That's one of the dangers of day trading, is that you're taking several trades in that day while you're in an emotional, heated state if you're having a bad day. So, or if you're just off that day, right? You just woke up got out of the wrong side of the bed and then you're making mistakes. Boom, $195 loss. And then, maybe you get a little bit back and you start to climb your way back and then boom, you take another big loss because of a mistake or whatever it is. So you just allow yourself to have a lot of mistakes. Whereas like when you're swing trading, especially if you're like using, not risking more than 2% of your account, you're putting that all in one swing and then you're waiting for that to finish before you get to the next swing. You have a bad day, bad swing. Now you're waiting for another swing to set up. You have cool down time. You're not so excited, making better decisions. Or, you had a bad day that day, but by the time another setup happens, you're in a better frame. So maybe you're making better decisions. Those of you on my swing trade alerts, I know you haven't had any alerts in a little while. It's not because I forgot about you. It's just because I only send out trades that I'm taking, and I'm only taking the highest probability setups. And as you know already, we've had an awesome year. So I'd like to continue that path. So I'm only going to send out the best setups and trades that I'm taking. So that's why you haven't seen any. I haven't forgot about you. More will be coming soon, I'm pretty sure. Especially as summer starts to come to an end and we already see volatility picking up. So if you have a lot of tickers on your deal, there's a lot more opportunity for mistakes in trades. Every time you hit buy and sell, you can make a mistake. Also, there's a lot more opportunity for your emotions to get out of control. So in my family account, I only trade 1 or 2 tickers. So why? Well, I don't need to trade more. I can make just as much money, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So, and if I'm trading APPS and I do my trade and that's it, at the end of the day, I lost $195 and that trade is over, then trade's over. I can be mad. I can do whatever it is. I can just get out of the wrong side of the bed. Doesn't matter. It's over. That's it. I'm only losing what I risk based on my plan. And I'm not taking another trade. There's nothing else for me to trade. When I know I have more tickers, I can be looking for a trade, which then I could sit there and be like, you know what? It looks like it might be good enough. There's all these excuses. But if it's just one ticker and trade's over and it's done, it's done. There's nothing else there. I haven't vetted anything else. I got nothing. So unless I'm just going to literally just type in some letters and whatever pops up, I'm going to buy it, right? So, which, that could happen, but I wouldn't do that. So now I just, shut my computer down and wait for the next day. So it makes it a lot easier emotionally just to have 1 or 2 tickers. So let's go and show you what's going to happen next for the rest of this year. Okay, so all year long, I've actually been trading tickers that have like a 60 to 65% win rate. So, and actually, let me go back over to day trade real quick. 60 to 65% win rate is what almost all my tickers have, except for JD that I added towards the end here. So, and I'm still profitable on the year. We started the year at 27,500. We have 28,704. So, not making enough money to pay the bills, that's for sure. But I'm profitable. Most traders are not profitable, and I've been able to be profitable with a 60 to 65% win rate, which is absolutely terrible. As you can see here, absolutely terrible. I'm not making really any money. In that video, 60 to 70% win rate shows you why it's so bad. So if you're looking at strategies out there and they have a 60 to 70% win rate, it could be a really bad idea. Now, if it's a really high frequency trading strategy, maybe it's awesome. But if it's not, just watch that video and see what you think. But you can see here with my account trading 4 or 5 tickers with a 60 to 65% win rate. Not trading every opportunity, because most of us won't trade every day or every opportunity. We'll miss stuff, whatever it might be that comes up in life. This has been the result. So now what I'm going to show you is the rest of the year, I'm just going to trade 1 ticker. And we're going to go and change our trading plan based on 1 ticker instead of 4 or 5. And you're going to see how that changes. And then you're going to see how with 1 ticker, I can make so much more money and I can grow this account so much faster than the thought of I need to trade more. I'm actually going to trade less and make a lot more money. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to show you why that is. I'm going to show you the new trading plan, how we're going to do it, and then you can follow me with my trades. Okay, so here we are with the backtest blocks, or just tracking blocks, however you want to use them. They're labeled backtest blocks in the log. So JD is going to be our ticker. So with my strategy, there's 2 ways to trade it. I can trade it based on the way the algorithm was designed originally, which was for a switch with permission and makes a trade. Or I could trade it with some kind of modification, which, I don't modify the algo. It's just a modification in the rules. So I'm going to take you up to the chart and show you a chart real quick. This is a losing day on JD. So we're going to go to a winning day first. So here we are with JD. So the modified play for JD is I don't worry about permission. I only trade off of the switches. So right here on JD, the way I trade it is on a switch back. So we're solid, solid, solid. We have our switch and our switch back. If that switch happens here in this candle right before the open of the day, I consider it a glitch, and I don't, like if it's just a single candle right here, I call it a glitch. It only happened a couple times this year, and I don't trade it. But so we have our solid, 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 we have our switch, and then we have our switch back. On the close of this candle, confirming the switch back, I take the trade. So I take the trade, and I'm looking for a 1R. JD likes to give 2R a lot, but I'll show you on the backtest blocks and just the tracking. In the end, it actually makes me more money to just get 1R out of it. If I'm sitting here watching it, I can squeeze more out a lot of times. So a lot of times with JD, I will get more than 1R, maybe 1.25, 1.5, or 2R. but I can easily just set it and forget it and not even have to deal with it. So once the trade sets up, I can enter the trade, put my stop, put my target. It's my only ticker for the day. Walk away, set my alarm for 3:45 and see what happened. So it makes trading that easy for me, and I can have a lot more time to do other things, spend time with the family, do whatever I want. Just got to hang out until the setup happens, and then my trading day is over. Set it and forget it, walk away, see what happens. So this is what I'm going to show you the rest of the year, how you can make so much more money, or how I can make so much more money by trading less and making more and having more time for my family. So that's basically the rules for JD. Now, if I get stopped out up here at the stop, and again, if you haven't seen my other videos and you don't know what any of this is, so definitely go watch all those. So, or just go over to the school and you'll see it. The links are below. So if I get stopped out here, I'll speed bump. So we're going to look at that now over here. It's speed bump. So we're solid. We hit our switch back in at the close of this candle, and straight loser, right? So we went in, came down here, hit a speed bump. So speed bump that play, put my stop just above hive day, or not hive day, just above this candle. And then on the way back down, I don't remember why I got out here. No, I added to my position. I don't know. I don't know what happened here, but it doesn't matter. So, so speed bump, and then once I get to 1R, I close out that speed bump. So sometimes that means I'm in profit because it'll actually punch through here and put me in profit. Sometimes because of slippage and spread and all that stuff, 1R means I'm negative. But if I'm winning 100 and I'm, and on a winning day, and then on a losing day, I'm only losing $30. That's a pretty good ratio. So, but I do have double losers because of speed bump, right? This could have went back up, and I could have took a second loss. And if I have a second loss, then I don't trade it. So if I'm trading speed bumps on JD, which is what I'm planning to do, then I do need to stick around and see what happens. Or I put my speed bump in, like you've seen in my other videos. My phone alerts me when the trade has happened, and then I just have to go and on my phone or my computer, enter the next set of trade, the next target and stop and stuff like that once a speed bump happens. Just sometimes things can move fast, and if I get my alert and then it take too much time to get to my phone to put my stops in, bad things could happen. But not usually, but they can. So I don't usually like to do it that way, but sometimes I do. All depends what's happening. So, but in general, what you're going to see is me trading JD going forward, the single stock, and I'm going to set it and forget it for the most part. And then occasionally I'll squeeze more out, and then I'll speed bump as well. So that's going to be the plan, single ticker. All right, so let me go take you to the log now and show you what happens. So here's JD. So here we have winners, partial winners, and then we have a loser and a winner. I put the yellow like this to indicate that this is in the same day. So I speed bumped it on this day. So profitability, I don't know what that would have been here. I don't know. It could be a little bit of a winner. It could be a little bit of a loser. I could look at the chart and take a guess. But like I said, when you factor in spread and any potential slippage, this could change a little bit. So I don't really care. This is not what I'm not looking at this for profitability. I'm just looking for overall success in the strategy. So that's what this is giving me. Profitability, I'll show you in a second. So then I can look at this and see what my days look like. So right now, I don't have any red days. So then down here, I blocked out purple what my red days would have been. So this is speed bumping it and having a loser, and speed bumping it and having a loser. Now, any one of these could be a very small red day, but very insignificant to the account. This would definitely be significant. And I need to know this information because I'm going to go over to a scaling ladder in a second and figure out how I'm going to scale up my account. So I need to know what's going to be significant because I don't want to blow up my account. I need to be able to account for that. So we're going to get there. I'm going to show you that in a second. So here we go. So then I got this scaling ladder going down, and that shows me that, wins and losses for every trade. I'm running about 78% success rate on wins and losses. Now this could vary because like right here we have a 0 here, but this might have been a micro loss, but very insignificant again. And a lot of these wins are going to be more than 1R. I'm going to make an extra, quarter or 50 or whatever it is. So I'm not factoring in all that stuff. I just want to see straight up strategy. What does it look like? So these numbers would be much better if I'm actually looking at my trading and not straight up strategy, because I will get a lot more than just 1R on all of these trades. So 78% win rate. I'd like to have 80, but right now it just worked out that it's 78, and JD usually gives me 80 plus. But we just, we've had a couple of losers in here, like some groupings like this that affected this percentage. But when we look at the days, what I'm doing on a daily basis, which is makes a big deal, also going to the scaling ladder. I need to know per trade, and I need to know what my days look like. My days with JD right now, I have a 94% green day on JD. So 94% of my days trading, 60 days of them are definitely going to be, well, not definitely, but they were green. I don't know going forward. I might never have a green day again, but it could be a repeat of what we have here. I'm going to track it so that as I start to see this declining and this declining down below 70% area, then I need to dump JD and get a different ticker. So that's why we watch that, because once it gets below 70, it's going to start to really eat up my scaling ladder, as I showed you in that 60 to 70% success video. I don't want that to happen. So I really need to monitor this going forward the rest of the year if we're going to have a good, strong finish. And I'm going to show you what the potential finish could look like. Could be really epic. So, yeah. So anyway, so over here on JD, I was checking the 2R scenario based on profitability, not just success of the strategy. So, and my profitability wasn't great. There's a lot of days where I'm just flat to peanuts. It's decent overall, but profitability wise, it just wasn't great. 65R basically is what I was looking at. And up here, I know I can do better than 71R, R being whatever I'm risking on rewarding. So I can actually make more money by not waiting for 2R success. Even though it happens a lot, it doesn't happen enough. So so there we go. So I'm going to stick with just 1R and squeezing a little more out when it allows. So that's the deal. So there's JD. So there's a nutshell of why I've chosen JD and what it kind of looks like, so that I know now what to do when we go over to the scaling ladder. So let's go to the scaling ladder. I could do it by percent or by dollar. I'm going to do this by dollar. So I've chosen JD to do $250, my starting trade. And actually Monday morning, my first trade is going to be a premium trade, because JD is coming off of a zeroed out day to kind of a losing day, actually, a small red day. So it doesn't usually have those 2 days in a row. So I'm going to go ahead and premium this up, and it's actually going to be $500 risk on my starting day. It would be a super premium trade if it was a full red day where I lost on my trade and on my speed bump. Then the next day, because I've never had that happen 2 days in a row, I would definitely super premium that thing, and I'd go, basically wide open on my account there. I'd probably risk around, $1,000. So, so 250 is what we're starting with. Why are we starting with $250? All right. So let's go over to the day trade account. So right now, $25,000. We're going to say $25,500 is blown up account. All right. I still can day trade with that because it's over $25,000. But I really got to go back to the plan if I get down there, because I'll really have $500 I can risk, which means I need to go back to peanuts and looking at $20 a trade and like all that stuff. And if you do have commissions, what does that look like? I don't with Thinkorswim, so I don't really have to worry about that, at least with equities. So I would have to really revamp what's going on to keep my day trading alive, right? Once I get to 25,500. So we're going to say $2,000 is what I had to lose there. But right now we actually have more in our account. We're at 28,704. So I'm going to say I have $3,000 that I can lose right now. I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. And even 1,000 of it is not even my money. It's the house's money. So I got, 1,000 there plus that other 2,000. So 3,000, right? So we go back to the scaling ladder. So if I start with $250 risk reward, then basically, if I have losers like I could have, I'm going to go over to backtest blocks. So right here, if we look at what's happening here, I usually don't have that many red trades in a row. 2 red trades in a row. In the last 90 days, typically it's 2. Here we had 2 also. So, this could be, red. And let's go here. Where are we at? Yeah, right here. So this was a red day that I didn't speed bump because basically the clock ran out, so it was red. And then we had this red day, which turned into a speed bump. So, 2 is typical, not typical. I mean, it barely ever happens, but 2 could happen. But really, 3 could happen, right? If I had a red day that just the clock ran out and then this happened the next day, maybe I could have 3. But typically it's 2, and I'm willing to be aggressive. So if I'm going to have 2 red days in a row potentially, then that means if I risk $250, or sorry, not 2 red days in a row, which I could, but we could say that. If I risk $250 on the one trade, then I speed bump it. That's $500 risk that I'm taking. So I have $1,000 of house money to play with right now. So I would have to have 2 losing days in a row before I cut into my house money or to my own money, right? So 2 days in a row of losing, which based on my history for the last 90 days, I've never had 2 losing days in a row. So right now the odds are in my favor that I'm probably not going to have 2 days in a row, but I could. And the odds are really in my favor. I'm not going to have 3 losing days in a row. So 250 right there. If I lose both directions, it's $500. I'm good. And if I have another day like that, it's $1,000. I'm still in house money. Then I would have to have 2 more days like that to get to the point where I really can't trade. I got to go to trader rehab, $20, revamp the plan, all that stuff. So I would really have to have 3 to 4 losing days in a row for that to happen. And based on the last 90 days, that is nothing to worry about right now. It's in the back of my mind. Could happen. I could make a mistake. But for the most part, not likely, right? So that's why 250 I'm okay with. Now, if it was 500, now it's a different story, right? Because if I did 500 in one, on the trade and then 500 on the speed bump, that's $1,000. Maybe I make a mistake and it's a little more than $1,000, but it's $1,000. And if I have another losing day in a row, that's $2,000. Could I do that? Because will I have a third in a row? Most likely not. So I could get that aggressive, but that emotionally for me would be bad because that would put me in a bad spot emotionally that I don't want to deal with. So 250 I feel comfortable with emotionally, and based on my past 90 days, I feel pretty confident that my account will survive. Now again, past performance doesn't mean anything for future performance, right? Like literally this could change tomorrow. APPS right here used to get me an 85% win rate, and right now we're clocking at 60. So what happens in the future could be very different than what's happened in the past. But the only thing we have to go by to look at what could happen in the future is the past. So, it gives us a best guess, if you will. So that's where we're at. So 250 is the choice, but I'm not going to stay there very long. 250 just to that'll give me $1,250. These trades right here, $1,250. It'll take me a week to get this. I'm taking 1 trade a day, possibly 2. If 2 trades set up, which rarely happens in JD, but sometimes I get 2 trades in a day if I trade the normal day trading strategy with it, which maybe I'll go back in and relook at that again and just double check what that one's success rate is, and maybe I'll add that to it. But right now, I'm not planning on it. So we're just doing 1 trade a day. So with that 1 trade a day, 5 days in a week puts me here. Now that's provided I don't have any losers. Let's go over to backtest box. I have 3 days, and then I have a zeroed out day right here, and then I have a couple more winning days. So there's 4 days that week that I would have took home money. 1 day I wouldn't have taken home any money. And then right here we have a winning day, then a 0 day, and a couple winnings. So that week I took home money 3 days that week. In 2 days I didn't take home any money. We broke even. So it's not like those days are paying for my winning days. We just broke even. But then I do have a nice winning streak. Then we have one day off. That's 4 days I would have took home money. So when I run down this whole thing, I can say on average I'm looking at taking home money 3 days a week probably. And those other 2 days will be break even. Now, some of those days that are break even will actually be in profit because the speed bump does really well. And other days, my winning days will actually be a lot more than 1 hour. So, but on average, we're just going to say, to make it easy, it's about 3 days a week. So this might take 2 weeks to get me to this level, right? So it could take 2 weeks to get me there. and then I'll be in the $500 range. $500 a trade. So basically, this first week or in 2 weeks, yeah, it's not great. I make $1,250 over a course of 2 weeks. 600 and change I'm making per week. It's still not a bad paycheck if I needed to take a paycheck, but I want to grow my account, so I'm not going to do that. But then after that, the next 2 weeks, I'm making $500 a trade. So on average, I'm doing about $1,500 a week. So that's pretty awesome. But I don't want to take a paycheck out of it because I need to grow my account. So I'm looking at 4 weeks here to probably cover this blue. Now, it's possible that happens in 2 or 3 days. If I have 2 or 3 hour winners, I get lucky, and I don't really have any losers. This can go really fast. So, and at the same time, it can go, go the other direction. But anyway, so 4 weeks, we're looking at that. So then the next 4 weeks to get through these 10 trades, if we do an average three take home three a deal, I'm making $1,000 a trade, traders. I'm making $3,000 a week. In month number 2, I'm making $3,000 a week. Well, why couldn't I do that with 5 tickers? Well, I can't do that with 5 tickers because what if all 5 of those speed bump and are losers? That's 10 losing trades in one day. So if I risk $250, I'll blow up my account. I won't even finish the day. I'll blow up my account on my first couple tickers, right? So it's very different when you have a big account because now all of a sudden you have to go with much smaller share size. But what if but you don't know if they're all going to hit that day, right? So you might end up only taking 2 trades that day. So maybe I could have traded, but you don't know. So you have to stick with the smaller size to make sure your account's going to survive. So with 1 ticker, it allows me to go much bigger, much faster because I'm only managing 1 ticker. I don't have to leave funds available for all those other tickers that could trade. I can use all my buying power for this 1 ticker. I don't have to share it across 5 tickers. My losses is just 1 ticker. I don't have to share my losses across 5 tickers. That could happen because every trade you make could be a loser. So if there's 5 trades and I speed bump all of them, I could have 10 losing trades in a day. With 1 ticker, the most I'm going to have is 2 losing trades. That's it. So it allows me to focus all my capital here, and then it allows me to start with a much more aggressive scaling ladder with much more profitability because it's just the 1 ticker I have to worry about. So if you don't understand that and you're one of my students and you're confused about it, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to help you out. If you're not one of my students, you can still shoot me an email. Links below to go to my site, get my information, send me an email, and I'll try to make a video clarifying that for you so that you can get a better understanding of it. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this video on that. Hopefully you guys got that. But if not, again, I'm happy to make a video of it. Just shoot me a message and I can do a specific video just on that. So here we are. So now the next 4 weeks, I'm doing $1,000 a trade. So I'm up to $3,000 a week now. How many of you could leave your job for $3,000 a week, right? Like that's a pretty good paycheck. So especially right now, traders, with what's going on with the pandemic and the variants and companies forcing people to quit their jobs because they don't want to be vaccinated or because they're not doing this or that or whatever. And is this a slippery slope? Like, what does employment look like in 5 years from now? If employers can get away with stuff now that you have to put an experimental medication, not against vaccines. I think vaccines can be extremely helpful. It's just a principle in the matter, and where does it go in the future? So, if you are, if they're allowed to say you have to put experimental medication in your body in order to be able to work there, what happens next? Like, where does this go? Like, so, and not to mention as variants are coming out, then what happens? Like, there's just a lot of unknowns, basically, is what I'm saying. I don't think a vaccine is the end all be all to what's happening right now. So I think we have to be prepared. Risk management, right? Trading is all about risk management. Your life has to be about risk management. You have to be prepared with what could happen down the road. Can you still go to work? Are there going to be lockdowns? What's going to happen with all this stuff? How long will these vaccines work for? Like, there's just so many unknowns that trading gives me the freedom to be able to not have to worry about any of that. As long as the stock market stays open, I'm good. And then other sources of revenue I try to have as well. I always want to have more than one source of revenue. So if one dries up, you have other options, right? So, if I did recommend anything to you, it would be to have more than one source of revenue, plan for the future, do your risk management plan for your life, and make sure you have backups and plan Bs and Cs, and which, do the whole chess game, see how it all plays out in all different ways so you can be ready for it. So if you have not gotten into trading and it's something you're thinking about getting into because you like that freedom, this isn't something that when bad things happen, you can say, I'm going to go start trading. It takes a long time to develop these skills, to practice in the sim. If you're brand new and you're watching this video, you're like years away probably from being successful. If you get lucky and can get a good strategy and it works for you and it fits you and all that stuff, maybe you're 6 months away from starting to grow an account and you're a year away from taking a paycheck. So, I know there's people out there that say, trade this strategy, make $1 million in a couple months. Traders, please, that does not happen to everybody. That might happen to one or two people that get super lucky, but then they probably blow up their account 3 months later. So just know, if you're thinking about this, now's the time. Don't wait. Actually, it's already almost too late for you. So if you're thinking about it, get in, start learning, because when you're going to need the skill, you already want to have it. You don't want to have to try to go get it when you need it. So anyway, that's enough about that. So here we are. So $1,000, 4 weeks later, we're making a lot of money. And then I'm going to go and scale up to the next level. So why am I choosing these scaling like this? Well, when I'm looking at my account, 1,250, 250, I can see that's how many trades that is. If I go in both directions, that's 500 a day. So, I'll have an additional 1,200 over the 28 that actually 27. This is based on that 27 already. That's why we're here now. So, I'll have that 2,000 there. So, when I'm looking at this, if I'm making 250, that's 500 potential loss, right? Because a speed bump, I could have a bad day. So that's 1,000, 500. And the next day it's another 500. So we're at 1,000. Then it's 500 and 500. It's 2,000, and I'm still good. By the time I get to the bottom of my scaling ladder and have to really scale down, I'm still good. So then when we get to 500, this is the danger zone, right? When we first scale up, I could lose $1,000 in this day and wipe out most of this progress and come back down to this bar, which is a bummer, and it does happen. It's happened to me many times this year already. So, but if we're lucky and we get our first trades a win, then we're in the $500 range and we're moving up. And then if I have bad days with speed bumps, it's $1,000 I'm losing. So on that day, so that's that wipes out a decent amount. But when you start looking at the numbers I just showed you originally was, if I have 3,000 in my account, if I can lose 500 per day, how many days do I survive? How many days of losing do I have in a row? All that stuff factors in. And I feel pretty good about this aggressive setup. And it gets less aggressive as I go. I start to protect my capital as I go. So $1,000 is what we're going to go to, right? So on a losing day, I could lose 2,000. But if I have, if I'm in this zone here, it's $10,000 in my account and I can lose 2,000 on a losing day. I have to have 5 losing days in a row to wipe out all this progress. And history shows me that I'm not going to have 5 losing days in a row. Now, I might, but right now, based on all the information I have, it doesn't look like it's likely. And trading for me is to trade on a statistical probability, a proven statistical probability of success. A proven statistical probability of success is how I want to trade. So, and the only way you can have those statistics is based on what happened in the past, knowing though that it may not happen in the future. So anyway, so here we are. So if I'm here, I'm losing 2,000 on a speed bump, or here, that's 5 losing days. Now down here, it's a little bit trickier, right? Because I have less money in my account. So maybe it's 4 losing days, 3 losing days, right? So it gets a little scary when I first scale up, but then as I get deeper into the scaling, things get more comfortable. And then when we get down to this ladder, now, say we're in this halfway point and I start having losers here, it's a $4,000 losing day. And basically I need to lose 5 or 6 days in a row to erase this progress. So, or more, because as I come back down here, we scale down, and I come down here, we scale down. So I really need to have a ton of losing days in a row to erase this progress. So now we're feeling really good. So, and then I start to slowly still scale up, but now just keep showing the same, so you can see the difference. So now I'll just skip ahead, actually save time. So once we get into this area here, 5,000, so I could lose $10,000, right? Speed bump in it, but that's 10 losing days in a row to wipe this out if I just stayed in this bracket. So now you can see it takes me more losing days to wipe out my account, because I'm scaling up, but not as aggressive here. Like here I'm doubling, right? 250 to 500 to 1,000 to 2,000, I'm doubling. But now I'm only scaling up a tiny fraction on each one of these. Scaling up a tiny fraction. So, and yep, so there we go. So then I start to get a little aggressive here. And then we start to scale, somewhat aggressive, but not too crazy. Still plenty of protection for our account here. Yes, this is $1 million in the account. It's $2 million in the account when we get here. It's $1 million in the account when we get here, right? So now let's go back down real quick. So now that I've got my scaling ladder, I feel like my accounts can survive based on past performance and my trading abilities and my emotional, all that stuff that we teach you in creating a trading plan. That to the site. I feel like my account can survive. But does this fit my goals? So am I being too aggressive? Am I aggressive enough? Like, all those questions have to be answered. So now I'm going to look at this again real quick and say, what was this? We're looking at 4 weeks per one of these blocks. So this is 1 month roughly, 2 months, 3 months. At 3 months, I'm doing, like $6,000 a week. It's pretty good. It's definitely paying the bills, right? So 6,000, that's pretty good. I'm good with that. So it's, what is that? Basically they're working out to be months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got about 5 months left. So if I stay on this plan by the end of the year, if all things work out good, I still make 100 grand this year. So I was able to, progress on the path of, a trader who's a new trader becoming successful, that hopefully at the halfway point, like now, stops, reevaluates what's going on, and says, you know what? E was right when he said that I could probably make more money with just one ticker. This is just one ticker, everybody. One ticker, the same ticker every day. I don't have to pay for scanners and all this other stuff. I don't have to get up early or research the news the night before. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just show up, trade my ticker, track its success, look at the algo, boom. And this is what's potential for me the next 6 months based on me. If you try to copy me, you might have the opposite. You might lose $100,000. So this is potential. Doesn't mean I'm going to get this. There's days I'm not going to trade. I'll miss days and stuff like that. So it may not be this much, and I could have really great days. So it could be more. But basically the next 6 months is where I'm at. And then if I decided to, 5 months, if I decided to not start my account over and just keep on going with this, and, at some point I got to take a paycheck. But if I kept going with this, then we have, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, in 12 months, I have 800 grand in my account. And, this time next year, basically, I could have 800,000 in my account, not will. And I could be doing 60 to 90,000 a week, traders, with one ticker. Just basically set it and forget it for the most part, maybe a speed bump it or whatever, but trading off the algo, like low stress, like it's all good. Like it's so much easier for me. So anyway, so there's that. So there you go. So that's what's going to happen going forward, everybody. JD is my only ticker going forward. I want to show you that I'm going to go to a higher success rate, lower frequency was the goal, right? Because my other tickers were low success but high frequency. I was able to put content on here every day, lots of different trades, all that stuff. Now we're going to go down to just lower frequency of trading, so just one ticker, one trade a day basically, but much higher success. So, and a lot of times when you're looking at strategies, you're going to find that the higher the success, the lower the trade frequency, and vice versa. So definitely look at those things in your own world and reevaluate that stuff for you and see what that means to you. But yeah, going forward, that's the plan. So Monday morning, we're going to jump into JD because it's a premium. We're going to do 250. We're going to scale that up to 500. So we're going to go over to the trade calculator right now. And we're going to go ahead and punch in 500 for JD for Monday morning, so I don't forget. And then JD right now is trading at around $72. So $72. And I don't know, my buying power is right now, I would just say it's 130,000. Should be around there. So JD, I can afford 1,800 shares. So then when I look at JD and I see that, I have say a 0.6 risk on it, I only need to buy 800 shares, but I can afford 1,800. If it's a $1 risk on it, then I only need that. But if it's only down to a 20-cent risk on it, it's 2,500 shares, I won't be able to buy that many shares. So then that's going to factor into my risk reward, because now on these trades, I won't be able to get as much shares, so I'm going to actually make less. And then on a next trade, let's say it comes up and it's 0.6, I could go full size. Now I can do my full risk. And if it's a loser, my winner didn't pay for the loser. So that's a problem. So I need to go back and look at JD, which I already did. But I need to go back and look at JD and see what happens. Like, what does it trade at? If I'm going to, can I even do what it is that I want to do? $500 risk reward. If it's, how many times does it does 30 cents? I can afford 30, but how many times does it do 20 cents, in the spread? So let me go to the chart real quick and show you. I know this video is getting long, traders, but I hope, I know my students will appreciate it. And if you're new here, I'm hoping that you're learning something from this when you're creating a trading plan. So here's JD. So I know on my strategy, I know where my entry is. I know where my exit is if I'm wrong. I know where it is if I'm right. So right away, before I even get into this trade, before this candle closes, I can already take these measurements. And I already know that this is what I'm looking at. So right here, we're looking at 56 cents. So I can go back and look at all these in my chart and see what does it look like, $1.06. So, I don't have 20 cents. It's always like, 40 or 50 cents or more, 62.85 to 63.90, more than $1, right? So JD likes to move more than $1. Some tickers like CVS doesn't. CVS likes to move 20 or 30 cents, even though it's expensive. So you have to look at that with your tickers. And then some like APPS, the spread is huge. So it might move $1, but with the spread, I'm only going to end up really being able to get like 60 cents. And then if I'm losing, I'm actually losing, more than that. So all those things got to get factored in. So anyway, so there we go. So JD, I know that I'm okay. I'm going to be able to afford to trade the plan. So, and I know I can afford my scaling ladder on JD based on what it moves, and I don't have to worry about, winning less and losing more potentially. So $500 risk reward is where we're at. Scaling ladder, we're ready to go. So Monday, that's the game plan, everybody. So we'll see you on Monday. Hope you got something out of this video. Please hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe for more content like this, plus live trades. And we'll see you all on Monday.